swinging a drive, right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone. Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Fly the W podcast, season 4, episode 49. Cubs, 2 out of 3 isn't enough. This is part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe, and most importantly, review our podcast. You can follow me at Crawley's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. You can email me at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com if you're wondering why the heck, in case you got sent down, any questions you may have, be happy to answer them for you. I'm flying the plane solo today on this Labor Day weekend. Hopefully all of you are enjoying a little day off here, hopefully. But, look, after that miserable series in San Francisco that saw the Cubs score 8 runs in 3 games, the hope for me at least was that the Cubs could go to Coors Field, and that would be the medicine that the Cubs bats would need. And based on game 1, I'm saying to myself, all right, here we go. This is kind of what I'm looking for here. A little fireworks from the offense. And that's really what we got. And I thought that game 1 was hopefully a sign of things to come. Here's what the hero of that game, Dansby Swanson, had to say.
It's just nice to hit balls hard consistently. The other day, that's kind of the biggest thing in our control as an offense and as a player, and being able to get rewarded for that. I thought just 1 through 9, we just did such a good job today against all their arms. Just really moving to good parts of the zone and being able to hit the ball hard. And obviously the results were there, and we were able to score the runs. So it was nice.
Hit the ball hard. Indeed, they did. It started with Dansby, top of the second, 1-on-1 out. Dansby hits his 20th home run of the season to put the Cubs up 2-0. Take a look at this graphic from Marquee here. If you're taking a look here, most home runs this season, PCA with 28, Seiya Suzuki 27, Michael Busch 26, Kyle Tucker 21, and Dansby Swanson 21. Now, if you would have told me Dansby had the same amount of home runs as Kyle Tucker at the beginning of the season, I thought you'd be crazy, but that's kind of where we are right now. Obviously, Pete hasn't hit a lot, neither has Seiya recently. But, hopefully Kyle Tucker's hand's healed. And I'm hoping, it's not out of the realm of possibility. You got, 20. Well, it'd be tough for Tucker to get 30. But the Cubs and the Yankees are the only MLB teams with 5 players with 20-plus home runs. So, again, you look at these things and you say to yourself, all right, what do you complain about the offense for? But, as we go along, you'll kind of see top of the 4th, Ian Happ leads off the inning with the solo home run, his 17th. So he's got a shot to get to 20. Cubs up 3-0. Now, Yanquiel Fernandez, a kid from Cuba, hit a 2-run homer to cut the Cubs lead to 3-2. But the Cubs would pull away in a monstrous 5th inning. They load the bases, no out. PCA hits a sac fly. Okay, good enough. Runners at first and second. Ian Happ hits a ground rule double to score another run. Nico Horner walks to load the bases again. Herman Marquez's night over. Jaden Hill comes into the game. Dansby Swanson greets him with a triple that clears the bases. All those runs charged to Marquez, who gave up 8 runs in 4 1/3 innings. Swanson comes home on a Matt Shaw single. Cubs score 6 runs in the 5th. They take a 9-2 lead. And that to me is really kind of like, okay, where those crooked numbers, the ones that you put it up there. We saw that a lot in April and May, not so much since then. And so, Swanson would hit a second home run of the game in the top of the 7th to lead off the inning. 2 batters later, Michael Busch hits a bomb. Cubs lead 11-3. How about this nugget from my guy Wrigley Wire on Twitter? Michael Busch has hit 4 career home runs in 4 career games at Wrigley Field. They've traveled a total of 1,820 feet. So his home runs in Coors averaged 456.3 feet. But to me, the big deal is the offense. They scored 11 runs, 15 hits, 10 of those hits, extra base hits, 2 doubles each for Nico, 1 for Seiya, who was 2 for 4, and 2 from Ian Happ. You had a home run from Happ and Bush, and how about Dansby Swanson? I mean, this really was the story of the game here. 3 for 5 with a triple, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. This is the list of players since 1920 that had that same stat line: 2 home runs, 1 triple, 6 RBIs. Sweet swinging Billy Williams, Hall of Famer, May 19th, 1971. The Hawk, Andre Dawson, June 2nd, 1987. And the hair, Dansby Swanson. Gosh, that flowing hair. But that is pretty good company to really kind of keep there. So just really impressive for the team. Cubs were 5 for 3 with runners in scoring position. And when you have an offensive output like that, you kind of, what gets overlooked is the performance by Cade Horton. Now, Cade obviously, this is going to be the first time he's pitching at Coors, and this was going to be a test. And here's what Cade said about his experience in the Mile High Stadium.
I just really wanted to stick with the same approach and control what I can. It's a big outfield, ball flies, fastball doesn't ride as much, breaking stuff doesn't break as much. So just really attack and really make them earn it was the big thing.
And he really did that, right? He was in and out of some jams, but every time he needed an out, he was able to do it. First and second inning, the Rockies hit leadoff doubles, but Cade was able to strand them. Third inning, the Rockies had a 1-out double, but stranded the runner. Colorado finally got to Cade in the fourth. He gave up a leadoff walk to Brenton Doyle. Got the next 2 outs. Looked like he would get out of it again, but Yanquiel Fernandez hits a 2-run homer to make it a 1-run game. Bottom of the fifth, after the Cubs put up a crooked number, Cade got the first 2 outs, but gave up back-to-back singles. He made an error on a pickoff attempt that put runners at second and third, but he strikes out Brenton Doyle. That would be the end of his night. He gave up 2 runs on 6 hits, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. I really thought it was a good job by Craig Counsell to get him out of the game on a high note after getting out of that jam there after in the fifth and not pushing his luck. Ben Brown gave up 2 runs in 2 innings of work. Drew Pomeranz gave up 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning. It started to make Cub fans a little nervous, but Brad Keller and Andrew Kitteridge were able to keep the Rockies off the board, and the Cubs would win game 2 11-7. But one of the things, when you're looking at this right here and just the job that the Cubs did in that game, it was just a lot of fun, right? To see Cade Horton pitch as well as he did in those situations and the offense blow up. That takes us to game 2, Javier Assad versus McCade Brown. Hey, did you notice Cade Horton is starting and Brown pitched a couple innings? So that's there. But a big one in this game was Seiya Suzuki, another 2 for 4 outing. Let's hear what Suzuki say is going on.
When the top of the lineup produces, I think, we create momentum through that. Obviously in August, earlier in August, we weren't performing that well. But I think once the top of the lineup gets going, I think, it's going to build momentum and keep going forward. For reflecting on myself, I wasn't performing to my standard. And, I think I've slowly started to figure it out. And, I think, but that mean not performing well, that's not good for the team. So I think once I can get going and the others do, I think we can start building momentum.
Well, let's hope so, Seiya, because like he said, the top of the order has just been bad. And in this game, they really produced. Top of the first one out, Kyle Tucker walks, back-to-back singles by Seiya, and Happ loads the bases for Nico Horner. He hits a sac fly to put the Cubs up 1-0. Unfortunately, PCA was called out on strikes, and that's the difference again between the first game and the second game. First game, they're able to clear the bases on that triple by Dansby. This one, they only get 1 run when you had the bases loaded and 1 out. So, not really good enough, especially in Colorado. With 2 outs in the second and the bases loaded, Seiya would ground out. Third inning, 2 on 1 out. Carson Kelly grounds into a double play to end the threat. The Cubs were finally able to put a crooked number up in the fifth. Kyle Tucker led off with a double. Seiya walked, and Ian Happ doubled to score Tucker. Seiya moves to third. Nico Horner would pop out, but PCA, and to me, and what was a surprising move, intentionally walked below the bases. Carson Kelly would hit a sac fly to make it 3-1. Dansby flied out to end the inning. The Cubs would score one more in the sixth. Michael Busch tripled with one out and scored on a Kyle Tucker single. Seiya would single, and Ian Happ would load the bases once again, but Nico grounded out into a double play. The good news, and there was good news in this game, is the way that the top of the order produced. And you can kind of take a look at it here. The game in the box score right there: Busch 2 for 4, Tucker 2 for 3, Suzuki 2 for 4, Ian Happ 2 for 3. It's just when you get to the bottom of the order and you see a bunch of zeros, right? So Busch, Tucker, Suzuki, and Happ are 8 for 14 with 4 walks, 2 doubles, and a triple. But the bottom half of the order, Horner, PCA, Carson Kelly, Dansby, and Willie Castro were a combined 1 for 17. The team was 3 for 9 with runners in scoring position, and 2 of the 4 runs they scored came on sac flies. 4 times they had the bases loaded, but only scored 2 runs in those situations. They grounded into double plays 3 times and left 11 men on base. Even with the offense lacking, though, the pitching was solid. Javier Assad made his 4th start of the season. He was able to pitch 6 innings, gave up 3 runs on 7 hits, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout. He used his sinker a lot, and it really helped in Colorado. 35 times in that win. He generated 11 outs via ground balls, including 2 double plays. The first run that scored on Assad wasn't really his fault either. Rather, it was just some sloppy defense. 1 out in the bottom of the second. Warming Bernabel singled, and then the next batter, Yanquiel Fernandez, singled. Bernabel would head to third, but Fernandez ran past first. Tucker threw it to Swanson, and he's running Fernandez back to first, but he threw it too early, and then Fernandez hits the brakes, heads to second. Now you got a rundown going, and in that case, Bernabel alertly scores. Now, Craig Counsell wanted the ump to call obstruction on Fernandez. No dice, so the game tied at 1. Bottom of the 6th, the Rockies make their move. Tyler Friedman leads off the inning with a single, and then Mickey Moniak, remember that name, he triples to make it a 4-2 game. The next batter, Hunter Goodman, hits a sac fly to cut the Cubs' lead down to 1. Now, that's all the Rockies would score, as the Cubs' bullpen was solid. Andrew Kittredge, who had been up and down lately, pitched a nice 1-2-3 inning. So did Brad Keller, and Daniel Palencia joined the club. No base runners, 2 strikeouts. Great job by the pen. And, if all of a sudden they blew that game on Saturday, it would have been because of the offense, right? All those missed opportunities by the offense, all the men led on base, all the bases loaded opportunities that they didn't cash in on, all the double plays. But because the bullpen got it done, they're able to come out of there with a win and set themselves up for a sweep. But Craig Counsell made it a point in his postgame interview to talk about one of those bullpen arms. Here's what he had to say about Brad Keller.
The other thing is just Brad Keller is just, we don't talk about Brad Keller enough, I don't think. He's been, really to me, the unsung hero of this team. You pitch in not the closer role in the bullpen, and you don't get much credit, but what he's done for this team and how he's locked down innings and come in and jams and things like that, like last night. His contribution this year has been really noted and a huge part of our success.
Remember, Keller was signed to a minor league deal in January 2025, which included an invitation to minor league spring training. He's just been unbelievable, and I hate to think where the Cubs would be if he was not on the team. He's appeared in 58 games this season and has not given up a run in 52 of them. In the month of May and August, he did not give up a single run, and in June, he only gave up 1 run. Before the All-Star game, he was 3-1 with a 3.21 ERA in 40 games. Post All-Star game, he's 1-0 with a 0.00 ERA in 18 games. And you're going to say, Crawley, why isn't he the closer? Honestly, he's doing well in the spot he is. I don't know. Maybe we see him there soon. I'm just not one to move guys when they're having a ton of success where they are. But the issue is going to come up because of what happened in Game 3. Matt Boyd versus Tanner Gordon. And again, you saw a really, really good offensive performance in game one, a mediocre performance in game two. So what were we going to get in game three? That was the question. And what bothers me is here you go with Tyler Gordon, who has an ERA over 6, and you're in Colorado, right? And so you should be doing some damage. The other question kind of coming into the game, Matt Boyd, he's had a couple of rough starts as of late. We're not used to that. He's got a 4.10 ERA in his last 7 starts. And so that's not a small sample size necessarily. And so you're kind of taking a look. Is he running out of gas? We talked in the last episode about the innings that he's been throwing, way more than he's done since 2019. I don't know, but if the offense gives him a little support, this could have turned out way, way different. There's no scoring in the first couple of innings. And so we get to the third. Shaw and Bush single. They're 1 out. Kyle Tucker strikes out. But Seiya Suzuki, who's had a really, really nice series, he doubled. And that is going to score 2 runs. The Cubs are up 2-0. But Matthew Boyd cannot have the shutdown inning in the bottom of the third. Braxton Fulver doubles. And then Orlando Arcia, who's always been a pain in the Cubs' ass, he was 3 for 4 in this game. He singles to put runners at the corner. And then Tyler Freeman singles on a bunt. It was a close play at home. And so the Rockies make it a 2-1 game. Ezekiel Tovar grounds into a force out. It was a really nice play by Dansby Swanson. Very Gold Glove there. But Brenton Doyle's going to single to tie the game up. And so it was, 2-2 game. Bottom of the fourth, some more trouble for Matt Boyd, and this is with 2 outs. Kyle Farmer walks, and then Braxton Fulford triples. 2-out walks will kill you. That scores a run, and then Orlando Arcia comes at it again. He has a single, and now it's a 4-2 game. And at that point, Matthew Boyd kind of settles in and doesn't give up any more runs. But the Cubs offense really is doing nothing. And so when you take a look at Matt Boyd's line at the end of the day, 6 innings, he gave up 4 runs on 6 hits, 1 walk, and 5 Ks. That walk really, really proved to be crucial. And here's what Boyd had to say about his outing.
I think I just missed. I mean, I just, in hindsight, you go, man, I could have been a little more aggressive on the plate, right? And it's like, we kind of made that adjustment as the game went on. And it's just one of those things where it didn't need to be as fine, right? And yeah, there's no excuse. I just didn't need to do it, and I did, and just we made the adjustment. But unfortunately, it was there's those 2 runs are, that cost.
Yep, and the offense didn't do much to help him. Tyler Gordon, like I said, ERA over 6. He gave up the 2 runs, and you're saying to yourself, all right, here we go. Let's get this offense fired up. But then, they really don't do much after that. They kind of just stop. 4th inning, they don't do much. They 1, 2, 3 inning, they don't get anywhere. 5th inning, 1, 2, 3, nothing. When they get to the 6th inning, they had 2 on, 2 outs. Dansby's going to ground out. 7th, another 1, 2, 3 inning, and the offense is just looking dead. But that takes us to the 8th inning, right? Michael Bush walks, and Kyle Tucker singles to put 2 on. Seiya lines out, but Ian Happ with a clutch 3-run home run, 5-5 game, and the crowd's going nuts. Wrigleyville West, and it really is majority Cub fans in that ballpark every time they go out there. But the place is going nuts, and, you're saying to yourself, okay, momentum shift. Unfortunately, in the bottom of the 9th, Cubs don't score in the top, bottom of the 9th, you got Daniel Palencia comes down the mound, and then Ryan Ritter singles. And I told you that name, Mickey Moniak, he hits another triple, and the Cubs will get walked off. Now, there's a lot of questions that people had after the game about what is going on with Daniel Palencia. Like, let's not forget, guys, really quick here, that this kid's a rookie, okay? And when you look at what's been happening in August, it's not been great for Palencia. He's had some struggles here. He's 1-3 with a 5.23 ERA. So that is obviously not good. He's given up 6 runs in August. Again, very much like Matt Boyd, you're wondering how much the inning loads is starting to get to him a little bit because, I mean, when you take a look in July, he didn't give up a run. In June, he had an ERA of 2.16. In May, ERA of 1.50. It is just starting to happen. Now, people are questioning, oh, well, is it because it's not a save situation? It's a tied game. Does he just do better in save situations? I don't know. I can't tell you that, but here's what Counsell had to say on Palencia.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty big spot when the game's tied in the 9th inning. So, he's going to continue to get the ball in those innings. So, yeah, that's a big spot.
So it's not like he doesn't have adrenaline pumping, right? It's not like, oh, it's not a safe situation. So it was a clean inning. Should have got it done. He didn't. And when you heard Cade Horton talk earlier, when I played that audio clip, the ball does funky things in Colorado. It's why Colorado's never had a 20-game winner, right? It just reacts differently, and it didn't happen. This is obviously a story we're going to be watching. But to me, as frustrating as that is, the big story is the offense, okay? One good game, one mediocre. And again, should have done more against Tanner Gordon. Should have put that game out of reach and not made it as close as it was. But when I look at this road trip, right, you were playing 2 mediocre teams in the Giants and the Angels and one of the worst teams maybe historically in the Colorado Rockies. And to me, okay, the 9 games, I wanted 7-2. I'm not going to lie. I understand that's hard. Maybe 6-3, but to go 5-4, that's what the Cubs have been doing ever since June. Is there a 500 team, around a 500, a slightly better than 500, while Milwaukee continues to roll? Milwaukee lost on Sunday. You had a chance to chip away, and every time the Cubs have a chance, they cannot do anything. And so now we're in September. You got 1 month to get this figured out as far as the offense. And again, the Cubs did make some moves. I don't know if those moves are going to really make a difference. We'll see. But it's got to get better. And I've been saying that for a long time. You got 1 month of baseball before the postseason. So we'll see what happens. You are listening to the Fly the W podcast, season 4, episode 49. Cubs, 2 out of 3 isn't enough. You are listening to the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave those 5 stars for reviews, and you can email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. And you can watch us on Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube page. We're going to have a fun interview. I hope you really enjoy it on Wednesday, but it is going to appear first on the YouTube page. So if you want to see it, first come, first serve, you got to subscribe to the Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube page. Let's talk a little bit about these standings and see where the Cubs are. Right now, Milwaukee's still in first, 85-53. They're 5-5 in their last 10, so they're not this unstoppable force, but they took 2 out of 3 against the Blue Jays. In the meantime, the Cubs are 78-59. They're 5-5 in their last 10, so they don't gain any ground. And this was a chance for them to maybe put it, maybe 4.5 games it could have been if they would have done better against Colorado. Would have won a game in San Francisco, but they didn't. You take a look at the Cincinnati Reds. They are starting to fall off the table a little bit, 2-8 in their last 10. They're 15 back. And then the Cardinals and the Pirates, their season's pretty much done. So now, obviously, the question is going to be the wild card, and lucky for the Cubs, you're taking a look at the Padres have the same record. So the Cubs they're up 2 games on the Padres. So for that first wild card spot, so that would be big to get a home series in the wild card round. Again, like I said, Cincinnati's starting to fall off. The Giants, again, not saying that they're Cubs shouldn't have been swept by the Giants, but they are 7-3 in their last 10, taking a series from the Cubs and the Brewers. And then you got the Diamondbacks 5.5 and the Cardinals 5.5. So not completely out of it, but there's a lot of teams to leapfrog. Let's take a look at the playoff odds here. If you take a look at these are the playoff odds per Fangraphs. They have the Cubs at a 99.7% chance to make the playoffs. As far as though, when you talk about winning the division, that's down to 4%. So is there still a chance? Yes, but it's looking dimmer and dimmer every time. Every one of these games you burn off the calendar and you don't take advantage of a Milwaukee loss. So 95% chance of clinching a wild card berth and a 4.1% chance to win the World Series. So, hey, how about it? Let's see what happens. But when you talk about the Cubs right here, right now, yesterday, Sunday, the 31st, was a big day because that was the last day a team could add players to their roster and still be eligible for the postseason. So starting today on Labor Day, September 1st, any player you acquire cannot appear in the postseason. So on Saturday night, Hector Gomez was the first to report that Carlos Santana, first baseman for the Cleveland Guardians, not the guitar player, could be heading to the Cubs. Confirmed by John Heyman Saturday morning. Now, the 39-year-old first baseman has had a rough season at the plate, but he is still a phenomenal first baseman, much better than Justin Turner. Okay, so if you're going to take, I don't know if you want Turner to pinch hit still. He's not getting DFA'd, so don't think that's going to happen. But he would be a great person to play defense in the last couple innings, especially if you pinch hit for Michael Busch or you want Justin Turner to take a pinch hit at bat. I would much rather have Santana at first than Justin Turner. Okay. But as far as it goes right now, he's a switch hitter, but struggled this year, slashing 225, 316, 649, 11 home runs, and 52 RBIs. Hopefully, a change of scenery can give him a spark. Another move that happens right here, and we talked a little bit about this before the game. Porter Hodge was recalled. Jordan Wicks, Dustin's guy, was sent down to the minors. I know Porter Hodge didn't have the greatest first outing. It didn't really happen there. But in AAA, in 9 appearances in the month of August, he had not given up a run. He had 20 strikeouts to 9 walks. You saw the strikeouts in that inning that he pitched where he gave up the run. Let's just hope that he continues to kind of work his way back into pitching better. He was a really key part of that bullpen for the first couple months in the Cubs. The Cubs also claimed right-hander Aaron Savali off waivers from the Chicago White Sox. They designate for assignment left-handed pitcher Tom Cosgrove. Hopefully, like I said, thank you for your service, Tom. But when we talk about Savali, you're going to say, well, why do we want this guy? Everybody remembers Savali because he's the guy that the White Sox traded to the Brewers for Andrew Vaughn and then all of a sudden became Barry Bonds. Thankfully, he's coming back down to earth. Savali's 3 for 9 with a 5.26 ERA and 18 games started for the Brewers and White Sox. But for the Cubs right now, it's just a depth piece, right? So you're concerned about the inning loads for Matt Boyd and Cade Horton. So hopefully he can eat some innings without giving up massive amounts of runs. I don't know, but here's the issue with the calendar turning into September. You can also add one pitcher and one hitter. Now, what we found out from Jesse Rogers, and people were livid on Cubs social media yesterday, is that Kevin Alcantara, El Jaguar, is getting called up to the Cubs, and Owen Casey will be sent down. Now, I can't tell you why Owen Casey didn't get more playing time. They believe that their guys, Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, are going to be the ones that are going to get them far in the playoffs. Owen had that great run in that doubleheader against the Milwaukee Brewers in that series in Chicago. To me, the biggest mistake was not when they saw that injury to Kyle Tucker's hand, they should have given him a week or two to rest, played Owen Casey for a week or two, and then let Kyle Tucker get a couple rehab games in Iowa and then come back up rather than him being bad for like 2 months. That was the mistake. Okay. So now Owen Casey is going to go to the minors. Kevin Alcantara is going to go up. The reason that Kevin Alcantara is going to come up is a couple fold. Number one, he can play all three outfield spots, left, right, center, and he can play them at an above average level. Now, he's not PCA as far as center field defense, but he is definitely above average. And if you've been watching PCA and the Cubs, you know that there's been struggles. Pete's been struggling mightily just in general, and he's struggling especially against left-handers. So you could have Kevin Alcantara take some of those starts against tough lefties. The other thing Kevin Alcantara provides you is some speed. And so you'll have some more speed on the bases, some more options to try to, especially late in games. So that's why Kevin Alcantara is coming up. That's why Owen Casey's going down. They're not going to sit Seiya. I know it was Colorado, and so there's going to be, he had a good series there. Hopefully he's coming out of it. Had that big 2-run double in the third game. They're not going to sit Ian Happ. They're not going, and obviously Kyle Tucker is starting to come back a little bit. So the hope here is that now you got some guys that can hopefully, when you have these three players, this is going to be a big shift, and hopefully it's going to be something that helps the Cubs out. You are listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. This is season 4, episode 49. Cubs 2 out of 3 isn't enough. That meatloaf was a little undercooked in my opinion. So we get the Cubs coming back home versus the Braves, and then they're going to have a series against the Nationals. The Braves have been an absolute disaster this year. One of their big offseason acquisitions, Jurickson Profar, was popped with an 80-game PED suspension before the game started. The Braves aren't making it to the postseason, but even if they were, he would not be eligible. Ozzie Albies, who's a really good player, but had just an abysmal first half. They were without Ronald Acuna for the first 2 months of the season as he was recovering from left knee surgery. Came back at the end of May, but he missed time in the first half of August with a right Achilles inflammation. They lost starter Reynaldo Lopez, former Southsider, to arthroscopic shoulder surgery at the beginning of the season. He will not play at all in 2025. They lost Chris Sale for a couple months with a fractured rib. It just hasn't worked out for the Braves. They did not have a winning month until August when they went 16-13. They have a record of 62-75. They're 17 games in back of the first place Phillies, 11 games out of the wild card spot. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They have a record of 29-42 on the road. So advantage Cubs there. And they're 31-42 with teams with the winning record. They just lost 3 out of 4 this weekend to the Phillies. But other than that first game, the series, those games were pretty close. And so this is going to be the first time that the Cubs see the Braves this season. You might want to pay attention, though, because you're going to see them again next week. So it's going to be one of those. They're going to play the Braves at Wrigley, and then the following week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're going to head to Hotlanta. So get used to seeing some Braves. And again, I don't like it that they're seeing them when they're actually playing a little better. Tail of the tape, a reminder for all of you that these numbers come from the last 3 weeks of the season, other than the DRS. But when we talk about hitting, the Braves have been hitting much better in the last 3 weeks, 9th in all of baseball with a .262 batting average, while the Cubs continue to be in the bottom of the league in the last 3 weeks. They are hitting 26 in all of baseball, .225. When we talk about slugs, the Braves are out slugging the Cubs in the last 3 weeks. They are 411 that's 13th in baseball in slug are the Braves. And the Cubs are 25th in slug, 375. Runners in scoring position, the Cubs are doing a little bit better lately, but still the Braves have the edge. 277 in the last 3 weeks. That's good for 10th in all of baseball, while the Cubs are 268, 14th in baseball. The big difference here is starting pitching in general. The Cubs starting pitching 354 in the last 3 weeks, 6 in all of baseball. So they've slipped a bit since that West Coast trip with the Giants and the Rockies. The Braves, on the other hand, their starting pitching ERA is 5.90, 25th in baseball. The relievers, the Cubs bullpen is 6th in the last 3 weeks with a 118 whip, while the Braves bullpen 155, 26 in all of baseball. So basically the numbers for the Cubs hitting and the Braves pitching flip, where the Cubs are 25th and 26th in hitting, but the Braves are in the top 15, while as in pitching, the Cubs are in the top 10 in pitching and the Braves are in the bottom 5. So we'll see what happens. These are two really good defensive teams. The Cubs are the second best in baseball with the 74 DRS, defensive runs saved, while the Braves are third right behind them at 52nd. So as we take a look at the pitching probables, we're going to start out game 1 today, 3:05 p.m. Colin Ray versus Spencer Strider. Colin Ray's 10-6 with a 4.23 ERA in 27 games. 23 of those starts with 95 strikeouts and 132 innings pitched. On August 15th against the Pirates, he gave up 1 run in 5 innings. He had a good start against the Brewers on August 20th, giving up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings. But we talked about his struggles in San Francisco, and he had a miserable outing in his last start in Oracle Park, gave up 6 runs in 4 2/3 inning. Colin is 2-0 lifetime against the Braves in 5 starts with a 3.60 ERA. Jake Fraley is 6 for 12 lifetime against Colin. So watch out, Colin, against Jake Fraley. Matt Olson, 3 for 7 with the 2 doubles and a homer. But Marcell Ozuna is 1 for 8, but that one is a home run. For the Braves, Spencer Strider is 5 for 12 with a 4.95 ERA in 18 games started, 105 strikeouts in 96 1/3 innings. Been a rough couple seasons for Spencer. He missed the entire 2024 season with a right elbow strain. He was activated on April 16th, pitched 1 game and injured his right hamstring. He was put on the IL for another month. He pitched well in June and July, but August has not been kind to him. He's 0-4 with a 10.13 ERA in August. On August 12th, he gave up 8 runs in 4 innings against the Mets. On August 18th against the White Sox, he gave up 7 runs in 3 innings of work. But he did have a bounce back in his last start against the Marlins. He gave up only 1 run in 7 innings. So hopefully it's the bad Strider and not the good Strider. He has not faced the Cubs in his career, but he has seen some Cubs hitters. None of them have more than 3 at-bats against him, except Justin Turner, who's 1 for 6. Strider's a big strikeout pitcher. He mixes a 4-seamer, slider with an occasional curveball. Game 2 coming up Tuesday night. Pay attention. It looks now like with the kids going back at school, we are shifting back to 6:40 night starts instead of 7:05. This is going to be a battle of lefties, Shota Imanaga versus left-handed pitcher Joey Wentz. Shota, so I wonder if we're going to see Kevin Alcantara in that game. I wonder if we're going to see Santana in that game. I'm very curious. But Shota Imanaga's 8-6 with a 3.08 ERA in 20 games started with 95 strikeouts in 117 innings pitched. Shota gives the Cubs a chance to win every time he takes the mound. August 16th, he gave up 1 run in 7 innings against the Pirates. On August 21st, against the Brewers, he gave up 2 runs on 7 hits. And in his last start against the Giants, he gave up 3 runs in 7 innings of work. But all of them were home runs to Willy Adames. Shota's only faced the Braves once last season when he pitched 5 shutout innings, but he gave up 7 hits and 3 walks. Got out of damage, but he struck out 9 Braves. In that game, Ozzie Albies and Matt Olson were 2 for 3. For the Brave, Joey Wentz is a 27-year-old lefty who's 5-4 with a 4.92 ERA in 34 games. 8 of those starts with 67 strikeouts and 78 2/3 innings pitched. Wentz pitched mainly out of the pen this season, but made his first start on July 19th against the Yankees and has been in the rotation ever since. On August 16th, he gave up 1 run in 6 innings of work against the Guardians, but on August 22nd, he got rocked by the Mets, gave up 6 runs in 3 1/3 innings of work, and in his last start against the Marlins, he gave up only 1 run in 6 2/3 innings. Joey's pitched in 5 innings in his career against the Cubs and has given up 8 runs, all of them, though, out of the pen. Most of the Cubs don't have more than 4 at-bats against him, but Kyle Tucker is 3 for 4, and Nico Horner's 2 for 3, Ian Happ 2 for 2. Wentz mixes up a 4-seamer, a cutter, and a curveball. That takes us to game number 3, another 6:40 start. Cade Horton versus Cal Quantrill. I'm excited. I'll be going to this game. I want to see how Cade's doing and hoping he keeps his hot second half going. Cade is 9-4 with the 2.92 ERA with 91 strikeouts in 98 and 2/3 innings pitched. On August 18th against the Brewers, he left the game early with a blister, but came back against the Angels for his next start. He pitched 6 scoreless innings. In his last start against the Rockies, we talked about it in segment 1, he gave up 2 runs in 5 innings. He's never faced the Braves, and only one of their batters has seen him. Jake Fraley is 0-2 against Cade Horton. For the Braves, Cal Quantrill, formerly of the Guardians and Rockies, was picked up off the scrap heap by the Braves after he was released by the Marlins. Cal's 4-12 with a 6.04 ERA and 26 starts with 85 strikeouts in 117 and 2/3 innings pitched. On August 16th against the Red Sox, he gave up 7 runs and 3 2/3 innings of work. On August 23rd, he gave up 3 runs to the Mets in 4 2/3 innings. And in his last start against the Phillies, he gave up 9 runs in 3 1/3 innings. The Cubs saw Quantrill when he was with the Marlins in May. They scored 3 runs off him in 4 1/3 innings. He's 1-4 lifetime against the Cubs in 8 games. 5 of those starts with a nice hefty 7.96 ERA. Nico Horner 6 for 10 against Quantrill, but Dansby 2 for 12. So that might be a Willie Castro start, right? Kyle Tucker's 3 for 6. He throws a variety of pitches. He throws a cutter, a split 4-seam, a splitter, a 4-seamer, a sinker, and a curveball. So I'll be at that game. I am expecting to bring home a winner.
He is really heating up.
All right, who's hot and who's not time? Let's take a look at the Cubs. For the Cubs, hot Kyle Tucker. He is 9 for his last 23 doubles. He is slashing 450, 560, 600. That hand's looking better and better. Ian Happ had a nice road trip, 8 for his last 20, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, slashing 400, 455, 900. And Seiya Suzuki, 6 for his last 17, 2 doubles, slashing 355, 353, 500, 471. So good to see the top of the order really producing here. As far as the not is concerned, we mentioned it earlier, PCA, he's 4 for his last 23 with only 1 extra base hit, a double. He's slashing 174, 231, 217. The Cubs catching situation's miserable. They're 3 for their last 22, not good. And then Willie Castro 0 for his last 11, so not really doing much. Now, as far as the Braves are concerned, look out for Matt Olson, 9 for his last 23 with 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, slashing 391, 41, 739. Ozzie Albies, 9 for 25, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, slashing 360, 385, 800. And Ozzie always loves playing against the Cubs. And then Jurickson Profar, maybe we need a P test on this guy. 8 for his last 24, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, slashing 333, 448, 667. As far as the knots, they have a lot of guys that are struggling there. Nacho Alvarez, 4 for his last 23. Michael Harris, 4 for his last 24. Ronald Acuna, 3 for his last 19. And Marcell Ozuna, 2 for his last 15. You'll also see Cubs, remember Vidal Brujan. He caught up with the Braves. He's 1 for his last 13. So interesting to see what's going to happen here. You know, when you take a look at the matchups, and if I got to make a prediction for this series, it's hard because, you know, when I look at the Cubs offense, it's just way too inconsistent and just haven't been doing much. It's going to be a cold day at Wrigley. The wind's going to be blowing in. There's not going to be a lot of offense. So you're going to need Colin Ray to outpitch Spencer Strider. You know, as far as Shota Imanaga versus Joey Wentz, I mean, I don't feel comfortable with the Cubs against lefties. And then you got Cade Horton versus Cal Quantrill. That's the one game I'm solid with. So I'm going to go with the Cubs taking 2 out of 3. I got them losing Monday. I don't know. Colin Ray versus Spencer Strider. I got a feeling Strider might have a good game. I'm hoping that the Cubs can keep it close and take game 2. And then I feel game 3 should really go in the Cubs' favor. So I got the Cubs taking 2 out of 3. Remember, like I said, we got a special interview coming up on Wednesday night. This is or maybe we'll do Wednesday morning because there's a game Wednesday night, exclusive to the YouTube channel. And so let's see what's happening. My good friend Katrina says with Milwaukee going into Philly, they may have a chance to make up some ground. I keep saying that, and then they let us down. So let's hope Katrina is going to give us the good vibes and go there. And so please, if you see me out at Wrigley, stop by, say hello. Thank you for all your comments, for listening, subscribing, leaving those 5-star reviews. This is going to be it. The Cubs are going to start to make their run. At least that's what I'm hoping. And we can sit there and talk about the Cubs victory next time we come back. Go Cubs!
It's all over.